when it comes to discovering the secrets of story collectors, I want to talk about another secret, that they show genuine interest in others. And I'll never forget a remarkable person that I met a number of years ago. We served together at a large church where people were very easily lost kind of in the shuffle. And I met a lot of very talented, interesting, smart people there. But this person stood out above the rest, and I still remember her. Her name was Amy. She was a small group leaders coach. That meant that she volunteered to take care of volunteers. Many coaches took the approach of offering a lot of advice or guidance to their small group leaders and how they could do better in their leadership, and that was a good thing. But Amy's approach was different. She offered some of that along the way, but Amy did one very simple thing, and she did it consistently, and she did it well. She would get together with the girls that she was sort of deemed responsible for, and she would ask, "What's your story?" That's where she would start, in essence. What's your story? It's what drove her entire approach in building relationships, really, and that's how she gained credibility and influence. At the time, I was dating my wife, Sherry, and Amy became her small group coach as Sherry led a small group. And after she got together with Amy, I remember Sherry telling me this, that she was clearly impacted by how their time went together. She was raving about Amy. So I asked Sherry, what was so special? Like, what did Amy do? And tell me more. And Sherry said, it isn't what she said so much, it's what she asked, and then how she listened and cared about me in such a genuine way. Sherry has never, at that point she was like, I've never had somebody be so directly and blatantly interested in me and my story. She has never had anyone listen as genuinely, as loving as Amy did. I remember Sherry just describing this. And it was an unspoken reality that Amy was the coach that all of the leaders wanted to meet with. She had developed a reputation, and that she cared so much about these ladies, and they were drawn to that. She was genuinely interested in them and their story, and she genuinely cared about who they were. Her influence didn't emerge because of how smart she was or what great advice she gave or what position she had. It was because of how much she cared. It was because she seemed more interested in people's lives than her very own life. She was living out what the Apostle Paul said in Philippians 2, to be more interested in others than yourself. Amy was able to recognize a truth that took me personally far too long to recognize myself. That it is more meaningful to discover what is special about another person than it is to promote what is special about ourselves. And that's what relationally intelligent people do. Amy was a story collector. She wanted to make an impact on people, and she took an uncommon path. And the path she chose toward influence didn't involve uplifting herself. It involved uplifting others, and it worked. Amy did what all great story collectors do, and ultimately it's the same thing that the Apostle Paul brought laser-like focus to, the significance of being others-centered, genuinely interested. Paul says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider other people, value other people above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. Each of you look out for the interests of other people. In another place, Paul writes, Romans 12, he says this, don't just pretend that you love others, really love them. That's what Amy did. That's what story collectors do. Then in verse 10, he says, be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. In another translation of that same verse, live in true devotion to one another, loving each other as sisters and brothers. Be first to honor others by putting others first. That's the secret of a great story collector.